We're going to see police cars here shortly coming after this truck to stop to find out if indeed this is the person that they have been looking for. Again, a robbery suspect who has fired shots at police already. And
okay, hey guys, today we're going to be watching
several times
Houston police chase July 21st, 2006. He's already hit one police car and shots were firing at the bank robbery suspect. Let's get his way now.
And he's been running stop signs and trying the best he can to make himself scarce.
Bam! Let's get his way now. Okay, he's turning left into the grassy field. He's just off-roading, going to the green space area.
Are watching our air video right now.
They're watching their air video. They're trying to get a location of this person.
10 minutes or so, we've been noticing.
They've been following this pickup truck for the last 10 minutes for the last going on. They've been pursuing this vehicle for the last 10 minutes or so.
Do they have a loudspeaker on that helicopter where they can do such a thing?
Yeah, going on for the last 10 minutes or so.
You can see
they seen the driver going off-roading. Yeah, they have been going on. Yeah, they have been pursuing this vehicle for the last 10 minutes or so. And they seen the driver going off-roading, down-roading, off-roading.
And he is going to do what he can to get out.
He is going to do what he can to get out of this field. And now he's off-roading. He's bumping, hitting speeds, 140 miles an hour, I think. Yeah. And we saw, do we see any ground units? Any understand shots were fired at the police officers? It's coming up on several units here. They're strategically
They're going to try to box him here.
Gonna box that. They're strategic. Now they're firing shots at that driver. They're firing at the truck. They're firing at the truck. So he is gonna. He is strategically. He's strategic.
In that field, almost on accident right there. He's back on a neighborhood side street.
Getting out of the off-road grassy field. And then possibly there was an almost. You saw that it was an almost accident. Because it had been going on for several minutes. Going on for the last few minutes or so. Right after the chase started half an hour ago. That's an incredibly dangerous chase.
Those units are left behind in that
Those
field.
units are left. Those units are left behind him.
He's got more ground units coming up.
He's got more ground units coming up. This is the HPD helicopter still above it. HPD helicopter still above it. Three more units. They're gonna strategically box that vehicle in so the guy can't, so the truck can't get through. So he's probably doing it 80 miles an hour.
Going to turn into a major accident.
This is going to turn into the major accident.
He is barreling through these intersections.
He's barely through the intersections.
Blowing through stop signs. Complete disregard for traffic.
Complete disregard for the traffic.
This is an incredibly dangerous chase.
Incredibly dangerous chase.
Obviously because of these high speeds, but also because we know that these suspects are armed.
You know the suspects are
armed. Robbery that
armed.
happened, I guess, just before 3
Linked
o'clock
to
in the Pasadena area. So
robbery.
Yeah, we haven't seen
This
any other shots fired so far. We did have reports of other shots fired when this chase first started.
Quite some time for hours.
And he's cutting through an intersection, losing control of the vehicle here, and this is a prime opportunity for the police to box the
he
vehicle
just lost
in.
control. You see that?
That's not going to happen. He is now going the wrong direction.
Wrong direction.
Not sure what direction he's going, but he is in oncoming traffic, going northwestbound. You've got a unit right behind him now. He's southwestbound, rather. And I believe he is in oncoming traffic. And this is obviously, as we've mentioned many times, dangerous for several reasons.
And he's barely missing these cars.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's driving in oncoming traffic, okay, there's almost an accident right there. This easily could turn into a head-on collision. I'm going to widen
out. That could easily turn on to the head-on collision. He almost hit that police car. He is still oncoming traffic.
Okay, we are approaching Highway 3 now.
Okay, they're approaching Highway 3. Now back over near
HPD
Ellington
helicopter just went through the
Field.
shot again. They are still
HPD
overhead.
helicopter just went through the shot again.
At the
They are
very
still
least,
overhead.
he could try to
At
get back
the
into
very
the right
least,
lane of
he
traffic.
could
Okay,
try
here
to
he is
get
taking
back
the left.
into
He's back in
the right
correct
lane of
lane
traffic.
He was driving erratically and
He was
oncoming
driving
traffic, very
erratically
dangerous. Now
and
he is with the flow of traffic
oncoming
heading.
traffic.
I'm not sure what direction we are heading or what road we're on. We're heading southbound
Oncoming
now.
traffic.
Clearly picking up
They are
speed.
heading southbound.
Okay, and he's
Clearly picking up speed.
okay. We're on the
And
east
he's okay.
side of Highway 3. He
They're on
just
the
flew
east side
through the
of
school
Highway
zone
3.
as well.
At least
Driving
no
at
accidents
high rates
before.
of speed through this neighborhood. Had shots
Like
fired
one
at the
time
beginning of the
before.
chase. We haven't seen shots fired since the reports.
Yeah, we haven't seen shots
Okay,
fired since
initial
the
shots that were
reports.
fired. We're heading towards
Initial
Kima right now,
shots
Jessica.
fired.
And he's been driving so fast and weaving so much that it's been
He's been
difficult
driving so
for
fast,
police
weaving
officers
so
to
much
get those spike strips
in
on the
and
ground
out
and
of
possibly
it.
stop this truck.
They're gonna get those
Yeah,
spike
that's
strips.
definitely
They're gonna
true.
get those
Heading towards the western
spike
Kima area.
strips, stop sticks, which is called
And he is still southbound.
pursuit intervention
probably
technique.
crossing Bay Area
So they're
Boulevard
gonna
now.
do a spike strip, stop
Okay,
stick.
coming up on
Okay,
Bay Area
crossing
Boulevard right
Bay
now,
Area
major intersection
Boulevard.
here. And I do not see any units directly behind the
No
vehicle.
units behind him.
Okay, now we are
Wow.
westbound on Bay Area Boulevard. He is westbound
He's
on Bay Area
he's
Boulevard.
westbound on Bay Area Boulevard.
Still don't
Still
see
don't
any
still
ground
don't
units
say
directly behind
still
the truck.
excuse
But
me.
the helicopter,
Still don't
HPD
see
helicopter is still
any
above the
Yes,
truck, right?
HPD helicopter still overhead.
ground
It's going to be coming up on
units.
some traffic here on
HPD
Bay Area
helicopter
Boulevard.
is still overhead.
And if he continues on this direction, he will
If he
eventually hit the
continues
Gulf
on this
Freeway.
direction, he will eventually
He's
hit
blowing through
the
another
Gulf
intersection.
Gate,
And he is
the
approaching
Gulf
I-45 here in
Freeway.
a few minutes. We're going to stay with
He's
him,
gonna be
obviously.
approaching the
Still don't see any
I-45
ground
in a
units.
few minutes.
Okay, he's coming up on
He's
Highway
gonna be
3,
approaching,
and he is running
coming
into
up
red
onto
light, running
Highway
into
3.
traffic.
He's gonna be
This may be
approaching
an instant chase when they
Highway
see an foot
I-45.
chase here.
Do you see any police officers
Highway
having caught up with him?
I-45
Not
in
yet.
just a few minutes.
Not
In
yet.
just a few minutes.
Okay, here comes one. Here comes one now, turning into a foot chase. It looks
Looks like
like
they're bailing out.
he's
Look,
going to jump
wrong
out of the
person.
vehicle.
That's the wrong truck.
Okay, there's the truck right there. Okay, he's taking off in this field.
Taking off in this field.
Okay, he's northbound.
He's gonna be approaching
along
the
railroad tracks,
I-45.
paralleling Highway
He's
3
gonna be
now.
paralleling Highway 3 now. He's
All
gonna
this
be
is happening
approaching
so fast, there were two white
I-45.
trucks there.
He's
It's easy
approaching.
to get it mixed
He's
up.
gonna be approaching
Absolutely. Obviously,
45,
the police
Interstate
officers did because they
45.
got out as well.
Pretty soon, in just a
And
few
they are
minutes, in
paralleling
just
the
a
train
couple of
tracks.
next few minutes or
That is
so,
Highway
the
3
next
on the
few
left side
minutes,
of your screen.
he will get onto
There's one unit on the side of
I-45.
the
He's
road.
gonna be, he will,
And he may just
they're gonna
stay
be coming
on
up
this
onto,
field here.
And
they're
that's
gonna be
right
coming
behind
up onto,
a fence line. There's homes back here.
That's correct. If it turns into a situation where it's a foot chase, he easily could jump the fence and run into a neighborhood here. There's the HPD helicopter overhead again.
he's gonna be coming
Stay
up onto,
right on top
they're
of the
gonna be
truck.
coming up on,
They're probably
they're gonna
at
be
100
coming up
feet,
onto
maybe less, right on top of the vehicle.
I-45,
And units are doing everything they can to scramble and get as close
I-45.
to this
They're
vehicle
gonna
as
be,
they can.
they're gonna be coming up onto I-45. They're gonna be coming up onto onto 45. They're gonna be coming up onto I-45 freeway
And he is
for the
coming
next
through some
few
kind of
minutes.
Power easement or
And
small
then
power
a
complex
helicopter, police
Do not know
helicopter
what road he
is
is
100
approaching
feet
still,
or less.
paralleling Highway 3.
And he's paralleling Highway
Several
3.
units on Highway 3, as you can see at the bottom of your screen.
Several
And
units
he is,
on
Okay.
Highway 3.
perhaps still.
okay, here comes
There's
two
the
units
cops.
that are
Here
gonna try to
comes
cut
the
him off.
units.
He is right at the corner of a neighborhood here, and he's coming back towards the fence line. This is a school.
Coming back towards
church,
the
actually.
fence line. This
He
is
in
the
front of,
school
he's hitting the
church.
parking lot. He's going to find a way out of the parking lot back onto a major road.
Find a way to
He's
the
going to run into
parking
several
lot.
units right here. And he's avoiding the units.
I mean, he's doing everything
Avoiding
he
the
can to get
units.
away.
He's
He
doing
is
everything
indeed doing
he can.
everything, and they're doing everything
He's
they
doing
can to box him in.
He's doing everything he can to
And you can
get
see how
away,
many units
and
are
they're
down
doing
here.
everything
Probably
they
15 or
can
20 units now.
to
Now we've got some
box
other
that
vehicle,
vehicle
another
in.
truck now.
And they got 15, 20 cops,
Involved in this. We
15
do
to
not know
20
if that's some
cops
kind of undercover
behind
unit,
him. They got
or if it's
probably about 15
just
to
the
20,
motors.
15
It seems
to
as though some sort of
20
four-wheel drive or
cops,
just
15
a
to
higher
20 cops,
vehicle would
15
help.
to 20 cop
Yeah,
cars.
that's definitely true.
They're
Right
gonna
now,
box him
Jessica,
in.
he's back
And they
going
got 20
the
to
opposite
30
direction we
cop
just came
cars,
from. He's
15
paralleling the tracks again,
15
paralleling
cop
Highway 3
cars
now,
and
going
20
southbound,
cop cars.
back towards Bay Area
They got
Boulevard.
15, 20 cop cars.
And he's staying. He's obviously
behind
figured out
him
that if he
now.
stays on the grass
And if
and
he
on this
stays on the
field,
grass
it makes it much
and
more
on this
difficult for
field,
units to follow
it makes
him.
it makes it
We are
much.
coming up on Bay Area Boulevard again. HPD helicopter right overhead. Now, I do know of situations where the observer in the HPD helicopter has stopped chases and stopped suspects from the ship
Stop
itself.
chases and stop suspects
whether or
from
not that
the
ends
ship
up the situation,
itself. Whether or not, whether
that way, we don't know, obviously. But
they
the units are having a
didn't
really
fall,
difficult
it
time
falls,
staying
whether
with this
it
truck,
ends up
considering
in
the
the
fact that he continues to stay in this field.
going onto the off-road, slipping sideways
He is
into the
losing control
water,
periodically, but regaining control. He's coming
losing
up on Bay Area
control
Boulevard.
periodically,
We'll see if he tries to stay off
regaining
the streets.
control.
Several
If
units
he tries to stay off the
trying to catch
streets,
up to him.
And this chase has been going on
Look
now
at-
for almost
going into the
45 minutes.
mud. This chase had been going on for about 45, for almost 45, for almost 45 minutes now.
Back into another parking
And
lot.
this
We're
chase
gonna
been
lose
going
him here
on,
in this
yeah,
apartment
going on
complex.
for
We'll try
about
to stay with him.
45 minutes
He's gonna come
now.
through this parking lot. I'm gonna widen out so I can see where he's going.
Yeah.
Okay, there he is right there. He's cutting through these
Yeah,
parking
this
lots.
chase had been going on
We'll see
for
if he makes his
almost
way back over
45
to the main road
45 minutes now.
You know, usually what we
Oh
see is
my
they bail
goodness!
out when they find
He's
that
hitting all
there's
those
nowhere else
brakes.
to go, but this guy just keeps
Hitting
on
those
going.
speed
He's
bumps
finding
in the
plenty of
dip.
other places to go to. We're trying. Okay, there's people walking through this parking lot. This is very dangerous. You know, I wish there was a way that we could alert some of these folks to stay out of the way. Okay, he is in some apartment complex, running through the parking lot of this apartment complex. You're gonna have pedestrians crossing the lot. We just saw a person
You're gonna
walking
have
through their car
pedestrians
almost
crossing
get
the
hit.
lot.
And he's
Car
had several
almost
near
get
misses
hit.
with several vehicles as well.
And
Of
those are
course.
speed bumps he's hitting, he's going over.
The speed bumps he's hitting,
going
he's
back to the
going
easement
over.
now. There's a unit right
Unit?
there.
Another
Okay, he's
unit?
been.
Oh my goodness!
Saw him hit a police car.
He just
Sideswiped that
he
police
just
car. He's going
sideswiped
back to
the
the
police
easement
car.
now.
This chase
Back
been
over
going
near
on for
Highway
about
3, and
45
he's gonna
minutes.
cruise.
Been going on for about 45 minutes now.
We're back northbound on the easement now, paralleling
And now
Highway 3
he's
and the train tracks
paralleling
again.
Highway
This is
3.
the third time we've seen him on this easement. He's back northbound, paralleling the tracks along Highway
And now
3
he's
now.
just going off-road again.
He initially came off of Bay Area Boulevard. He's crossing the tracks. Looks like he might lose control. No.
He might
He's going to
lose
get on
control.
Highway 3. Okay, now he's turning back southbound on Highway 3 now.
And he's losing some of that stuff that was in the bed of
He's
the pickup.
losing
We're
some of
losing
that
a lot of
stuff that
in the
was
back of the
some of
truck
that
for sure.
pickup.
Picking up speed again.
Picking up speed, coming up on Bay Area Boulevard again from Highway 3, southbound now.
And so far there have been dozens of near misses of just regular old people driving down the street. He has
There were
sideswiped the police car,
several near misses
and he
of
just keeps
people
on going.
driving down the
Keeps on
street.
going. We just saw him sideswipe that police car. Had several near misses. He's probably doing 60, 70 miles per hour now on Highway
Probably
3.
doing 60, 70,
We're in the Webster area.
60, 70 miles an hour.
I do not believe
They're
we've
on
crossed
Highway
the area
3,
Boulevard. We
Webster
may have. He's going to run
area.
into some traffic here again.
Going off-road, turning
Coming
right.
up on. Okay, cut through.
Oh my goodness, those
Lost
stuff
some,
falling
slippers
off
in the
from
back
that
of the
truck.
And we're over near the medical center near Webster. He's
They're
westbound.
Near medical center,
gonna make a
medical
U-turn,
center
head
near
back
Webster.
eastbound now.
It's westbound.
Okay, the road that we're on is called
Okay,
Medical
making a
Center.
U-turn.
And he's back eastbound now on Medical Center. He's going to run
Back
into more traffic
eastbound now
here,
on,
cutting
on
through
medical
another yard
center.
Here.
This chase been going on for the last 30 to 45
We're back
minutes
southbound on
now.
Highway 3. Just cut through a gas station.
And this chase been going on earlier, as we just mentioned, for almost 45 minutes or so. And they seen the driver picking up speed and going on for almost, as we just mentioned, 45 for about 45 minutes.
Several times they've lost this pickup truck, but then have found it again. HPD's helicopter has been also following.
Been going on for
above, and
about
has
30
been
minutes.
speeds
Been going
all
on for
over
about
South
45
and Harris
minutes.
County, at times going at very high rates of speed. Now,
And they seen the
slowing
driver
down on
picking
these,
up speed.
Smaller side streets, but again, picking
These
up
are
speed.
Jessica, we're
smaller,
westbound on Nassau Road 1 now.
smaller
Picking up a
side
lot of
street.
speed.
Westbound
He's
on
blowing through
Astor
these
Road.
lights.
He's
Okay, he's coming
going
up on
through
45
these
here.
lights.
He's in
Coming up
oncoming
to the
traffic now.
45.
Okay, he's driving basically in the turn lane.
Whoa!
Saw a major accident right there with that green truck.
You saw that major accident
That
with a
was
green truck.
incredibly close.
You just saw it.
Okay, he's driving in the turn lane now.
driving in the he is driving in the turn lane.
Here. Coming up on 45, he's trying to get to the Gulf Freeway. No
trying
doubt.
to get to the Gulf Freeway.
45. Looks like he might lose
control. Whoa! He might lose control.
He maintains control of the truck.
And he maintains
Several
control.
units still trying to catch up to him
245
here. And we are now northbound on 45. He's now on the service road.
Now northbound on 45, I-45 freeway, Gulf State Freeway, Gulf Freeway.
Several ground units trying to catch up.
Several ground units trying to catch up.
Continuing to unfold in the
now he's emerging onto northbound I-45 and he's getting on the main lanes of 45.
He's got plenty of room to run here. He's on the shoulder. And he's going to try to pick up as much speed as he can. He's probably doing 80 miles per hour on the shoulder of 45.
He's just passing people on the left.
Just blowing by people on the left like they're standing still.
Blowing by people on the left like they're standing still.
They're obviously going to call ahead to other units.
They're going to obviously call ahead to other units.
Opportunity for them to try to throw some spikes down if they're able to.
If they're going to try to throw some spikes down. If they're able.
That all depends on where the truck goes, obviously. But for some reason, obviously the reason he's staying on the shoulder is to pass by all of this traffic. There's a lot of heavy traffic right now on the Gulf Freeway northbound, so he is just staying on the shoulder. Probably doing about 75, 80 miles per hour now.
Probably doing about 75 to 80 miles an hour.
Traffic time, and
now he's on 45 northbound on I-45.
Several near misses. He has side swipes.
Gulf Freeway.
Now he pulls into the main
several misses. He almost hit that car.
Right there. Main lanes on the Gulf
he almost lost control.
Right ahead of us.
Gulf Freeway to PD helicopters, HPD helicopters is overhead 100 feet or less.
On 45 right now, it's not going to be one vehicle.
The amount of traffic on 45.
If he loses control of his truck,
if he loses control of this truck, of that truck, that truck is disabled.
I don't know how many people are in the truck.
It's one truck.
You know that they're possibly armed.
One truck, so one truck.
Over the Pasadena area.
One truck.
Following this chase now for about 35 minutes.
They have been following this chase for about 35, going on for about 35 minutes. Yeah, they have been following this pickup truck for about 35 minutes now. And they've seen the driver picking up some speed, almost losing control, going on for about 35 to 45 minutes now. And we're going on for a better part of about 35 minutes now.
We're getting word now, according to the pilot.
Right after the chase started, nearly half an hour ago, and going on for just a short while. 30 to 35 minutes now. And there goes the HPD cruisers and the police cruisers. They're going to get behind him. And the driver has really gone fast. He's on 45 northbound.
Coming up onto the Beltway here.
Coming up onto the Beltway. If you're familiar with this area, 45 northbound, you take the 610 or 288, 59, or take the Beltway 8, or take the 69 Interstate Freeway, or take the I-10 freeway or 610 freeway. Which one of your options? You can either take 35 west, 35 east, and now he's coming up the Sam Houston Tollway, so he's coming up onto. You can either take 35 east. So did someone get hurt? Can get this hurt? Can get hurt?
Driver has come into the Houston area. We're going to have Houston police involved. We already saw their blue chopper buzzing along with the rest of the media chopper following
blue chopper, media chopper following along.
If he or she is out of control and approaching the Beltway, it looks like the suspect's going to be not going to make a turn on the Beltway.
Going to make a
closely just missed that median there.
Yeah, he or she is
onto Beltway.
Driving erratically.
He or she is driving erratically.
And let's see what happens here.
And let's see what happens here. Car smoking.
Getting off at Fuquay, it appears.
Getting off at Fuquay. getting off at freeway I-45, Gulf Freeway northbound.
Okay, we are coming up on Fuquay.
They're coming up onto Fuquay.
Stays on the feeder road, or
if he stays on the feeder road, if he stays on the feeder road, goes right onto Fuquay.
If he passes Fuquay, he'll come up on Alameda
If he
Genoa.
passes
he hasn't waited for
he passes Fuquay,
to get on and off the freeway.
he hasn't waited for the exits for the on-ramp.
Yeah, he's liable to do anything.
He's liable to do anything.
We've been following this truck.
This chase has been going on for about 35, going on for about 35 to 40 minutes or so. And they seen the driver
all over the
picking up
area,
speed.
Webster area.
Then the driver
Apparently it's a white male, possibly
continuing
in
to
his
drive.
50s.
The white male, possibly
now,
in his
possibly
50s,
single suspect in the truck.
possibly single suspect to the
Wanted
truck.
some kind of robbery over the
Wanted
Pasadena
some
area.
kind of
We do not know if
robbery
there's a
over the
passenger in the
Pasadena
vehicle.
area.
Okay, apparently he's wanted for robbery at a cleaners
Apparently
in the
wanted for
Pasadena area.
robbery
And he's
at
coming up on the
cleaners.
traffic. We're going to try to get around here. Okay, he may be U-turning here.
Okay, he may be.
Okay, and there he is. Now he is oncoming traffic.
Okay, he may be U-turning
Not
here.
sure what road we're on. We're either on Alameda Genoa or Fuquay, and we're going to see an accident right here.
He almost hit. Okay, he hit the truck. He hit the truck. There's an accident. They're still trying to make its way. You see him?
He's scraping by these vehicles.
Scraping by those vehicles.
At some point, he's going to hit a vehicle
At some point, he is going to hit that. He is going to hit a vehicle. He's going to hit that. He's going to hit that vehicle. Going to hit a car.
Details, but not all of them. We understand it started at a cleaners.
It started in the cleaners.
Vince, can you hear me?
Okay, Jessica, it looks like his front right tire has a flat tire. He's on Alameda Genoa. He's blown through that stop sign. He's still westbound on Alameda Genoa.
He's westbound on Alameda.
South of Hobby Airport now. He'll be approaching Telephone Road here in a few minutes.
He'll be approaching here at Telephone Road in just a few minutes.
Were scraped by, I should say.
They were scraped by, I should say, several cars. Let's listen now.
He's going to turn into a foot chase right here, unless he backs the vehicle up. Okay, we're going to have to come around here and get out of the trees. We're going to lose the shot here.
He's backing up.
He's backing up the vehicle. He's going to come back south to Alameda Genoa.
But he is riding on a flat tire, right?
It appeared that he blew a tire, the right front tire, but right now as I look at it closer, it seems like it is not flat. He apparently has all of his tires inflated.
And we were able to catch a glimpse of the suspect just there with that one shot. We understand he is a white male in his 50s who police say robbed a cleaner's store probably just before 3 o'clock this afternoon. And he has been traveling ever since then, weaving in and out of neighborhoods all over Southeast Harris County on the freeways, and he's not slowing down.
Yes, he's been in and out of oncoming traffic. He's scraped by several vehicles. He hit one police car in an apartment complex, almost hit a pedestrian
okay, we're back now.
complex.
We're back now, so he just hit a police car. One police car sideswiped the cop car. They're headed westbound on Fuquay, flow of traffic. Sometimes he's westbound on Fuquay, coming up onto the telephone road here in a few minutes. In just a few minutes.
Looks like he's going to maybe make a U-turn. Okay, now we're southbound.
And they made it.
On a side street here through a neighborhood.
Driver got onto the southbound 40, northbound 45, south of Hobby Airport, coming back up to the Beltway. And now he hits his road off the southbound. Now he just got onto I-45 northbound just about a few minutes ago. He's off-roading.
Really lucky, or he just knows his way around.
Wow, he does notice his way around. Oh my goodness.
About an hour and 30 minutes.
He's going, and he's been driving erratically for almost an hour and 30 minutes. In 30 minutes or so, if he stays with the flow of traffic, that's the only option he has. Of course, he's been driving erratically, completely erratically, for just half an hour, 30 minutes, for an hour, 45 minutes, for an hour, 45 minutes now. Yeah, lasted only going on for the last 30 to 45 minutes. Now, we're going on for about an hour, 35 minutes
he's coming
now.
through the Beltway, and now he's going to be back eastbound.
He's going to be back eastbound
now,
along the service road, back towards the 45.
Well, at some point, he's got to run out of gas.
At some point, he's got to run out of gas.
Whether or not they're
He
able to
just
stop this chase
almost
before
lost
that happens, we don't know.
control.
Several ground units
He is
desperately trying to
regaining
keep
control.
up with this truck. HPD helicopter still overhead.
And Dave, does the HPD helicopter have enough fuel?
The HPD helicopter has enough long
Well, typically our
fuel.
fuel supply is about 2 hours.
The fuel supply is about 2 hours and 90 minutes. Been going on for about 90 minutes
to a residence in the Pasadena
or so.
area.
I think, yeah. They have 90 minutes for the excuse me, just bite my tongue a bit.
In the truck.
They have 90 minutes for the fuel supply. 90 minutes and 2 hours. 2 hours and 90 minutes and 2 hours. They got they have fuel supply. They have fuel supply, enough fuel. So the driver makes it at a time.
Like he's doing
Turning
another
left.
U-turn to go westbound on the service road. And Lynn, we mentioned that the police trying to stay back. We did
They
see at one
mentioned
point
the
in a
police
field
trying
there
to
was a
stay
police
back.
officer who was taking cover behind his car, trying to fire some shots.
They were trying to fire some shots.
Will depend on how long they can stay. If they've been covering this for the past hour and a half, more than likely they've only got about 30 minutes of fuel left.
They've been covering this for the past half hour. They only got about 30 minutes left for the fuel.
I'm going to take over for Jessica Willie, who's going to move from in our studio in the newsroom to back here on the desk with me. And I know, Dave Garrett, you've been covering this since the chase
So they
began.
got about
I know
30
Jessica
minutes.
just asked you about
They got about
the extent to which the,
30. They got
HPD
about
helicopter
30
is able to
minutes
stay with you, but
left
I'm not seeing as
for
many
the
police
fuel
vehicles
supply.
as we certainly saw that in Clear Lake.
And now they're having a tough time.
The ground units are having a very difficult time keeping
They're
up
having
with the truck. A lot of that
they're
has to do with
having
the fact
a
that he was in and out of
very
these
difficult
fields here
time
in easements,
as
paralleling
he's
Highway
weaving
3,
in and out
very
of
difficult for
traffic,
the cars to
and
keep
they're
up with him.
paralleling
The fact that he's in
Highway
a truck
3.
right now, just to update folks, we are on the Beltway, the
They're
southbound, traveling
they are
westbound
on the Beltway, south belt.
Still a lot of traffic along the Beltway.
Still a lot of traffic
But as you
along
mentioned, Gina, the
along
ground
the
units are
Beltway.
having an incredibly difficult time keeping up with them. In fact, I don't see any ground units anywhere
We don't
near
see
the
any
vehicle at
ground
this
units
time.
anywhere.
Only the HPD helicopter overhead. They will continue to stay
Back on
over the vehicle, obviously, and relay to the ground units where he is.
I-45.
Of course, they're going to radio
I
ahead
think-
and see if they can mobilize
I
more
think-
units up ahead of him.
Back on I-45. Yeah,
eventually catch up
he's
with him.
back on
He's
I-45.
driving so
They're gonna
erratically.
catch up.
He's been doing speeds of,
We're not gonna let
80,
this guy
85
get
miles per
away.
hour along
Driving
45
speeds
along the
at
Beltway, along surface streets,
85,
neighborhoods.
80,
He
85.
hit 2 or 3 vehicles. He hit 1 officer. In
He
fact,
hit 2 or 3
almost
vehicles.
hit a pedestrian in an apartment complex.
He hit 1 cop car
As you know, this whole
earlier.
thing's been going on for some time. Apparently wanted
going
a
on
robbery at a cleaners in Pasadena.
For just some time,
At least one
they wanted for
suspect, a
cleaners
white
in
male in his
Pasadena,
50s
at
driving this
least
vehicle. We
one
do not know if
suspect,
there's another
white male
person
in his
the truck or
50s,
not.
And
driving his truck.
Briefly, I just got some information from our newsroom desk, assignment desk, that is
They got some information from the new assignment, news assignment desk, and the information desk.
About
And
3 o'clock. I know we've been saying about 2:45, 3 o'clock.
it started
So,
at
yeah,
about 45, 3 o'clock, an hour, about an hour, 10 minutes. And going on for about an hour, 10 minutes. Yeah, they got about an hour, 10 minutes. And they have been pursuing this vehicle from earlier on for the last 10 minutes, or so.
Now, since he's gotten off some of the roadways,
Yeah, they have been pursuing this vehicle
fields and on the easements, we never saw any
earlier
other
on for
shots
the last
fired at any
10
officers.
minutes, for the last
However, as I
10
mentioned
minutes,
before,
for the
he did
last
strike one officer with the vehicle.
10 minutes
an
or
officer tried to
so.
stop him in an apartment complex. He
And they seen the
sideswiped that
driver
car,
picking
and,
up
of course,
speed,
the officer
passing
still,
slow moving vehicles.
westbound along the south
Going on for
now.
about 10 minutes now.
And
Going
we
on for
should be
about
approaching 288
past
soon.
10 minutes or so.
Okay, we're still waiting.
They're gonna be approaching 288 in just the next
I'm sorry, Dave.
10
is the
minutes
traffic
or
looking pretty thin
for the
ahead
next,
of you,
in
or
just
is
the
it
next,
getting,
the next 10 minutes,
It's going to be a little bit heavier.
10 minutes
trying to
or
look ahead
so.
of us. It's really not too bad. It's fairly
And they
thin
seen the
right
driver.
now.
They seen the driver
which is
picking
an avenue
up
I typically
speed.
take coming to hobby is usually fairly
They're gonna be
thin
approaching
traffic-wise, so he's
288
got some good room
soon.
to run. He's had a lot of stuff in the back of the truck also.
A lot of
that's been falling out
stuff
of the
in the
truck throughout this chase.
back of the truck. At least
been averaging about 85
it
miles
didn't
per
fall
hour.
off.
He's stayed.
At least no tire is flat.
Okay, we're not sure how far from
We're
the toll
not
plaza he is.
sure how far from Toll Plaza
he's coming
he is.
up on the toll plaza right now, in fact, and of course he's going to blow through this toll plaza.
He's going to
Now,
blow through this toll plaza.
Several police units at these toll plazas. And I'm surprised in the fact that they don't have those units mobilized to try to pull him over and stop him.
Several police units are in toll pass.
Watching the coverage, that HPD has not been able to stay with him, at least from the helicopter vantage point.
The HPD has not been able to stay with him.
Well, the ground units have had almost an impossible time staying with him. Now he's exited. He's on the service road now.
He's exited on service road around Makawa,
right over his head.
staying at about 100 feet
service road of the South Bell.
overhead.
And we are either at MLK or Makawa.
They are either MLK or Makawa, possibly. A little further than that, I think they see the driver.
But I don't think he's going to get back on the Beltway. Of course,
I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna
there's a lot of traffic coming
get back onto Beltway.
Dave, let me interrupt you for a moment to say that Jessica Lilly is on the set with me now, so the two of us will both be talking to you.
Turning right.
Okay, he's northbound now, Gina, Jessica. I'm not sure what road this is. Side street somewhere near Makawa or MLK. I don't know how far west we are. I've been obviously paying attention to the shot here. Our pilot John has been trying to feed me as much information as possible, of course, with our assignments editors on the ground giving us as much information as they can. He's northbound now.
Okay, let's listen there for a
Coming
moment.
up, he's actually through a new neighborhood that's being built, and he should be coming up on Fuquay or West Orem is the area that we are in. We are still near. We are southwest of Hobby. Okay, he's heading back eastbound towards Hobby now.
And this really has been incredible. I mean, the police have been on this guy's tail for about an hour and a half. That is a very long time. At times they have lost him, but of course HPD's helicopter has been right above, so he hasn't been able to go far without police presence near him.
Yeah, that's correct. Right now, just to give you an update on where he is, he's eastbound on Fuquay, and he will be... Okay, I'm getting conflicting information on exactly what road this is.
It looks deserted out there.
I'm sorry, say again?
It looks deserted out there.
Just about. This area southwest of Hobby Airport is a fairly
Rural out there.
rural area. There's a lot of fields out here. There are homes, and there are several businesses, a lot of them smaller homes, smaller businesses. But he is fast approaching Makawa or MLK. I don't know how far west we got of Makawa. I believe he's coming up on Makawa. I believe we're eastbound either on Fuquay or West Orem. I believe it's Fuquay, though.
And Dave, how fast do you think he's going right now?
Right now, he's probably not doing more than about 50 or 60 miles per hour. If I could ask our pilot, John, what our ground speed is. Okay, we're about 65 miles per hour, so he's doing about 60. We're slightly ahead of him. He's right out my left window to give you a little perspective on our direction here. Hobby is very close to us.
But that's likely in an area where the speed limit's probably 35 or 40 miles per hour, so that's quite a bit over.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We have seen him probably doing 70, 80 miles per hour through school zones, in fact, as well.
Clearly at an hour and a half almost of being pursued, that should be dawning on him that he's not going to get away from HPD at this time, because in an area like this, he certainly could ditch the car and run. But HPD's right over him, and it stayed right over him throughout.
Yeah, I would think so. He's had several opportunities to ditch the truck and turn this into a foot chase. Obviously, he's not seized those opportunities. If he ditches the truck anywhere in this area, he's going to be caught out in the open. There's not a whole lot of places to hide out here. It's really just a lot of open field, which would lend itself to his capture pretty easily, actually.
And because it has lasted so long, it seems this man is desperate, and that's where it gets dangerous, because if he is armed, anything could happen. Obviously, he has used his truck to sideswipe some of the vehicles, including police vehicles. And as we saw earlier, we saw somebody standing in the parking lot of an apartment complex, and he almost hits that person. Yeah, that's true. We're on a road called Shamir, just to give you an update on the road that we're on. He's coming up on Makawa. Okay, he's taking a right. We're southbound now on Makawa. Southbound on Makawa, and he will be coming up on the service road of the Beltway again, which he will either... Now, Makawa, I don't believe, has an exit to the Beltway. So he is either going to have to take a right to get back on the Beltway, or he's going to end up staying on Makawa.
Dave, since we're approaching 4 o'clock, let me just welcome viewers that are turning to Eyewitness News at 4 o'clock. I'm Tina Gaston, along with
Jessica Willie, and we have been following this high-speed police chase for about an hour now. It started in the Pasadena area after a robbery. The driver of a white pickup was driving erratically, going the wrong way at times, speeding and even hitting some cars.
Yes, we do know a little bit about the gentleman that police believe they are pursuing. They believe this suspect is a white male in his 50s. They believe he may be alone. The vehicle he is in is registered to someone living in Pasadena, and in fact, the robbery of a dry cleaners, the Queen Oaks dry cleaners, occurred in Pasadena about 3 o'clock. So as you see, it has been a good while that police have been pursuing this vehicle, as we said, through fields, through easements, through apartment complexes, through gas stations. And several times it appeared as though police had got him, that they had managed to block off his digress. But no, he always seemed to be able to slip right through the small lane there and get away from them. At a time, too, we thought we had a hit flat tire, but flat tire seemed not to be.
Because he had lost control several times, so it seemed as though he had a flat tire, or perhaps maybe two. Obviously, he kept on going. It doesn't appear he's being slowed down by anything at this time. This chase happening in southeast Harris County. We were talking earlier, either this guy is really lucky or he knows the county very well and that part of it, because he's been able to evade police for so long. That dry cleaners where the robbery happened, police telling us that it's in the 5800 block of Red Bluff, and both HPD as well as Precinct 8 Constable's Office from Harris County, as well as Pasadena Police and the Deer Park Police Department have all been following this white pickup truck for some time now.
Dave, you want to tell us now where he is and where you are?
He's still southbound on McCalla. I believe that we just crossed McCard Road, which turns into 2234 down near Missouri City. I believe he's crossing through a neighborhood, Brookshire Village, if I'm not mistaken, south of the Beltway. Coming in, Brookside Village was the name of the neighborhood that he's been running through here southbound.
He's been pretty lucky so far. Yeah, that's the right word, lucky. And you make a good point, Mike, that police have done a good job of staying back, not to provoke a confrontation where this guy shoots again and somebody gets hit, innocent bystanders or police for that matter. So they have stayed back, and now he's on a more crowded road.
Picking up speed again. Mike, what road? Can you give us an idea? Do you know what road he's on right now?
I'm not sure which road we're on right now.
Westbound on Broadway is what we're being told. Through an intersection.
Now we're in Pearland.
Yeah, FM 518 in Pearland.
And that's basically the main drag down through Pearland.
Right. FM 18 in Broadway, the same.
518, yeah, down at Pearland. This is it's become a busier area as Pearland has begun to expand. And as this man gets on more crowded roads, it appears he just wants to pick up speed and create more hazards for himself. And that creates an incredible amount of problems for police, because they want to stop him, but they don't want him to drive him to do anything even more rash than he has done already.
This is a delicate and dangerous situation for police. Look at this. He just missed another truck. The driver's heading toward Highway 288, according to our producer, on FM 518, which is the same as Broadway in Pearland.
And we know that is a very busy intersection. Highway 288 and 518 is where all of the new big stores are going up around Pearland, so we know we'll be seeing a lot of traffic in that area.
And now, for the first time in several minutes, we're now seeing a police cruiser closer to this pickup truck. Perhaps at this point, police are changing tactics, but we'll have to watch and see. Not sure. The guy's driving, down the middle of the road, like in
center turn lane now.
Center turn lane, which is not good.
Speeding along, even the Pearland police would likely be getting involved at this point, since he's coming into Pearland. And again, will traffic stop him if he starts running into traffic? Obviously, he doesn't care if he drives through an intersection like that. And when he gets closer to 288, he'll see even more traffic, and perhaps enough of that will force him to stop. In Maryland, as you said, we're seeing another police officer who's coming up a little bit closer, a law enforcement officer coming up closer to perhaps try to stop this man.
Yeah, they haven't gotten close enough, and we've reiterated this many times, to either lay spikes down, shoot out the tires. They've been very, very careful, kept at a certain distance. The guy is, obviously very desperate. He's done some really crazy things. He's already hit a few vehicles and driven through fields and gone in the wrong direction. So I think police have decided they're going to hang back and hope that this driver, who robbed a dry cleaner quite some time ago and has already fired shots, will make a mistake that doesn't involve anybody else.
Driving around more traffic, driving through another major intersection. He has been very lucky not to get involved. And part of the things the police would be trying to do at this point is radio down the road and say, let's try to get some of the civilians out of the way. Let's try to clear a path for this driver so he doesn't hit anybody else as he travels down Broadway, heading eastbound to I would believe it would be eastbound at this point, hard to tell, but he's heading toward 288 and he's in the Pearland area.
To force them into a situation like this.
Well, especially when it's obvious police are having no trouble keeping up with you. I mean, I could see if he felt he was eluding them at some point and might really get away, but clearly that's not going to happen.
We ask that question all the time. You have to wonder because the helicopters are always going to be above, even if the ground units aren't very close to you.
Yeah, that's true. And not just the chase, but the robbery itself as well. There's no telling what's going on, what the circumstances are in a person's life that makes them feel pressured enough to cause a robbery and end up moving in the direction that this person is moving now, this suspect here. Again, the vehicle came back to a residence.
Dave, how fast is he going? He looks like he's going at a faster clip now.
He's probably doing about 65 still, 70 miles per hour. John, what is our ground speed now, if you can tell me? Okay, he's about 50 miles an hour, our ground speed. Okay. Almost an accident right there. Almost hit that van. He's about 50 miles per hour he was. He slowed down through that intersection, as he's done almost every time.
And just to give you an idea of how long this has lasted, we have some better information from police. The robbery, we're told, happened at 2:30 this afternoon, and police picked up this chase at about 2:45. So it's been going now for an hour and 15 minutes, longer, an hour and 20 minutes for some time, and he's been able to...
And then going on for an hour and 15 minutes, and going on for an hour, 20 minutes. Yeah, been going on for an hour, 20 minutes. Been going on for an hour, 20 minutes. And then it happened about 2:30. It started about 2:45 this afternoon. This chase has been going on for the past 15 to 20 minutes or so since the police started this chase. And they're staying on it now. Yeah, again, going on for the past 15 to 20 minutes or so since the police started this chase. They're into 30 minutes. They're into 30 minutes into the pursuit. 10 units behind that truck in total. And this chase has been going on for about the past 20 minutes for the past 20
Yeah, that's true. And right there you saw him pass that 18
for the past 20 minutes or so since the police started this chase.
No telling what kind of chemical may be on board there.
And this all started about 20 minutes ago, and this has been going on for about 20 minutes for the past 20 minutes or so since the police started this chase. And there's a construction for 288. He's on 288, about 70 miles per hour, 75 miles per hour.
John has just told me, our pilot, doing a fantastic job keeping us over this chase here.
And they're keeping up over this chase, and they're doing a great job behind that guy.
We should be south of the Pearland area. He's on 288, which he is.
He's on 288.
And right now he is making a U-turn.
They're going to be approaching Highway 6.
And he's back northbound on 288 now.
Back northbound on 288.
He never made it quite to Highway 6.
He never made it to quite Highway 6.
Now, we do not know what their pursuit policy is. After the chase that we saw that lasted about 2 hours,
they saw it lasted about 2 hours.
The suspect eventually had a head-on collision on an entrance ramp.
And this chase has been going on for the past 20 minutes or so. And they've been going on for the past 20 minutes or so. And they think the driver picking up some speed, 70, 75 miles per hour, going into the grassy median. And this chase has been going on for the past 20 to 30 minutes or so since the police since the police started this chase.
And then we understand that
And they started with it about 10 or 20 minutes ago.
At that time, but
And they've seen a driver picking up speed.
During this chase.
And this all started about 10 or 20 minutes ago or so. And they've seen the driver picking up speed, getting off at 288 northbound, making it. No, he's continuing on, crossed 518, 65 miles per hour.
I think the light was in his favor in that instance.
Yeah, I believe that it was. But, okay. Okay, there's a vehicle now that's going to come into the shot that's trying to catch up.
They're going to catch up to that vehicle.
Don't know whether or not that is some kind of undercover agent or just a motorist trying to help out.
And they're trying to help out.
That vehicle's following the truck.
Yeah,
They have been following the truck for nearly an hour, 30 minutes. For nearly an hour, 30 minutes or so. For nearly an hour, they have been following this vehicle for an excess of, for about 30 minutes or so. They've seen the driver weaving in and out of lanes, going into the grassy median. Going fast.
It might have been a civilian trying to help out. If you're watching and you're thinking about helping out, don't.
And you're thinking about helping out, don't. If you're a good Samaritan, you can stop that vehicle and stop that vehicle and stop it.
Yeah, not advisable for people to try to get involved in this at all.
And Dave, he just made another turn, so tell us where he is now.
Okay, he's, I believe, eastbound now. I'm not sure. Okay, we're on Country Place is the name of the road. He's eastbound on Country Place. He is in oncoming traffic again.
He is in oncoming traffic. He is coming up onto oncoming traffic again. Back onto the roadway. He hasn't tried to bail out. Turns this into a quick chase. Still in oncoming traffic along. Crossing along the country.
Not much traffic though in that neighborhood, it looks like.
Yeah, not much traffic through here. This is a largely residential area.
Much
Where
traffic.
there could be children playing on the streets.
There could be
Overall, this is a dangerous area here.
There could be children.
Okay, now he's back in a field here.
They could be.
Over near Country Place. It looks like he's on a golf course now.
He's on a golf course.
Yeah, I think you're right.
There could be.
And the police officers, I don't see them in your shot.
There
Can
could
you
be
see whether or not
kids. There could be kids
ground
playing on the playground. There could be children playing swings.
Okay, we are at the Country Place Country Club
There could be children playing, and now the driver went to the ditch. There could be playing.
On Country Place Road.
There could be children playing the golf, mini golf. Like when someone gets hurt, get out of the way. In the golf course, I've never seen that before. Like,
and he is,
and he is, I believe, on the north side of a neighborhood.
Coming back to 288.
Country Place golf course, coming back to 280, coming back up to 288 northbound, I think, yeah. Some kind of dirt road near 288 of the construction.
Yeah, that's correct.
Construction on 288. At least he did not run over people.
Widening the roads and the lanes here. He's on. I don't know if he's actually on an open portion of 288 or not.
And he's on an open portion on 288. And they have been pursuing this vehicle for about 20 minutes. They have been pursuing this vehicle for about 20 minutes or so now. And they seen the driver going off-roading again earlier, going to the golf course. Doesn't want to get to an area. And it beat them 288 south.
That's correct. The further,
And now it's been going on for about 10 or 20 minutes.
less traffic you're going to get probably.
It's been going on for at least 10 or 5 or 20 minutes or so. At least 10 or 20 minutes or so. Getting back onto Beltway. Another toll plaza coming up.
We'll be approaching a toll plaza here in a few exits.
And Dave, as you mentioned, it's the toll plazas that could work the police.
They could
police officers' advantage
work
because
the
as they get
police
through,
as they go as the advantage, the driver.
Go through that plaza, you know, it's a
They've been
confined space,
chasing,
so it's
going
not
around
for them
circles
to
for the
physically
past
block the plaza, with
for
a
about
vehicle or with,
20
at
minutes
least
or
spikes to
so.
try to flatten the tires, whether or not that's
And
an
they seen the
opportunity
driver
to seize,
going
I don't know, but he's
going
on
around
his
those cars.
shoulder
So
now.
they're gonna do to get those spike strips, flat those tires. They're gonna flatten. They're gonna be the flat tires. That is going on for an hour and a half. 45, no, 45 to 45 to 50 minutes.
And you also have
And this,
multiple
not just,
agencies.
and this is gonna be the hour long. So it's been going on for 2 hours. So this will be
You would think that the Harris County
the
Sheriff's
spike
Department
strip,
is in
so
this
it
one,
can.
as well as
They're gonna
CPS.
flat all of the tires. Slow down quickly.
Going to try to put spikes up at the toll plaza. And one other point of information: we're talking about fuel on the
Try to
aircraft. The
put
HPD
spikes
helicopter
up
is now run
as
out of
quickly
fuel.
as they
They're
can
replacing,
possible.
another aircraft is coming to take its place.
Do we know if the first will stay until the second arrives?
Yes, the first one will stay until the second arrives.
And
The first
don't they
will
also,
stay.
Work out of Hobby?
Yeah, we are very near Hobby.
Until the
Coming to
second
toll
arrives.
plaza.
Oh my goodness!
Now that's an interesting point. They can't throw the spikes down in the toll plaza through the easy tag lane.
They can't throw the
will flatten
spikes
tires
down
on the other vehicles.
at the
Why
toll
they didn't
plaza.
stop the toll plaza,
Like they didn't
I don't know.
stop the toll plaza. They did stop the toll. But when you have a toll plaza, it started the toll plaza. Like when you have San Francisco, Sacramento, anything fast track, like any California.
Okay, there's a boat apparently that's stopping up ahead,
They're stopping up ahead.
and we'll see how. Okay, our pilot is able to see ahead up the beltway here, and he's telling me that he's going to pass this boat, which is.
They're gonna
there's
pass
the boat
this.
Right there.
Okay, they're going to pass this boat.
Yeah, Dave, tell us your cross street. You're on eastbound on the Beltway.
They're on
and,
eastbound,
where did you just pass?
We're coming up on Makawa
eastbound
now.
Beltway.
Eastbound on the beltway, coming up on Makawa. Several units still trying to catch up to him. HPD helicopter still overhead.
HPD helicopter is still overhead at least.
He's coming up on Makawa.
He's coming up onto on Makawa. This is the old freeway. Again, Gulf Freeway, I-45 north.
I know it's obviously difficult for the officers to
Northbound,
figure out what
where
direction
he
he's
was
going.
earlier
They
on,
tried to utilize that toll plaza back there, but they didn't have
ago.
enough time, as you mentioned, Gina. And the ground units are trying to catch up to him. I'm going to widen out and see if anyone's close behind him. I don't see any ground units close behind him.
You don't see any ground units. They should be here in the next. They should be here in about 5 or 15 to 20 minutes. They should be here in the next 5 or 15 to 20 minutes. Here or now.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. That's
Yeah, and the ground units will get here quickly in the next 5 or 15 to 20 minutes or so. They should be here in about 5 or 15 to 20 minutes or so now.
We just crossed Makawa. He's coming up on MLK now.
They just crossed Makawa, coming up onto
He's
MLK.
still, probably 3 miles from the Gulf Freeway.
Probably about 3 miles from the Gulf Freeway.
Don't see any ground units behind him.
Still do not see any ground units. They should be here in about 20 minutes now.
Okay, right now the first helicopter has just
So the
left
first
scene.
helicopter just left the
Helicopter
scene.
is coming.
So the ground units will get a chance to catch up.
So the HPD helicopter
So
is back in service now.
they're back in service road.
We see them come into our
So
shot
let's
here.
listen
Get back
now.
and stay over the top of this truck.
Dave, can you tell whether or not there's one more toll plaza before he reaches
I'm
the
gonna
Gulf
read the
Freeway?
I don't
description.
believe there is. I take the Beltway quite often, and I believe the toll plaza he just went through is the last one until you get on the other side of 45, to the best of my knowledge. So
on the other side of 45, 45.
So whether or not they can try to utilize the next toll plaza down there, it may be to their benefit.
Okay,
obviously, if you stay on the
Houston
Beltway,
Chronicle.
they can have the opportunity to
A
do that.
robbery
Stuff out of the back
suspect
of the truck there.
surrendered to
Well, if
police
nothing else, I'm thinking too that lessens the chances of a
Around-
bad accident because it's less crowded.
around 6 p.m. 6 p.m.
Yeah, that's
bringing
true.
to an end
Constantly congested freeway,
to
both
a
north and
2-hour
southbound.
chase in which authorities said the man fired at a squad car and rammed several civilians. Vehicles before plunging his pickup into a waterway off
Okay, he's approaching
Beltway
Blackhawk now,
8.
and they're blocking the road.
Man
They call it
suspected
blocking
of
the road. Okay, they tried to block that
robbing
intersection
a
of the
Pasadena
exit ramp, rather, and he just went around that officer doing probably
dry
65 miles
cleaner.
per hour here,
remained in mark
probably 70, and he's still eastbound.
in the
coming up on 45, crossing
partially submerged truck
Blackhawk.
cab
We are now
between
south of
Spencer
Bobby
and
Airport.
Fairmont for more than an hour,
Across Telephone
negotiating
Road.
with
Blackhawk's actually east of Telephone.
officers late today. And at one point,
Okay, they did try to shut the freeway down, but they
with a
did not have
pistol
enough time.
in his mouth, said Captain
That unfortunately has
Bud
been the
Corbett,
refrain.
Yeah, that's
spokesman
correct.
for police, spokesman for Pasadena Police Department.
Yeah, timing on this is
It's unclear whether the driver was injured. The driver, Wom police have not identified alleged rob at Queen robbed the Queen Oaks cleaner about 2:30 p.m. today, moments before the chase began, Corbett said. The driver parked outside the store, went inside, asked about cleaning prices, pointed a gun at a woman working the counter, and demanded money, said Alex the woman's co-worker. He said he was not at the store during the robbery. And they've been pursuing this vehicle for about 20 minutes. Yeah, this has been going on.
Each situation has to be handled differently. We've seen them handled very differently through the years.
And kind of ironic, Doug, if I can get in here.
Yeah, they have been pursuing this vehicle for about 20 minutes. For about 20 minutes or so since the police started this chase, and yeah. And the call came out about 20 minutes ago, and they have been pursuing this vehicle and each been on the freeway for about for an hour, about 20 minutes. Okay, Pena said the woman, who did not recognize the man, gave the driver the money from the cash register. After he drove away, she called Pasadena police. The chase began about 2:50 p.m. after police were alerted to the robbery and ended about 4:45 p.m. Corbett said a Pasadena police officer was involved in a crash during the chase. He had no details about it or whether anyone was injured, as the news cameras on helicopters broadcast the chase live. The driver of that white 1996 Chevrolet pickup truck swerved in traffic, hitting several cars and narrowly missing the rear end of an 18-wheeler. The truck careened into a grassy field along 288, along Texas 288, to avoid slower moving traffic. Corbett said the truck drove a winding route along 288, Interstate 45, and other roadways for about an hour and a half before crashing into the waterway. And that's all for now. And now, the driver has a flat tire. I don't know, did they apply it? Did they deployed I don't know if they deployed the spike strips. I think they deployed the spike strip.
So he's still doing a fairly high speed.
He's
on
probably doing about 40 miles. 40. He's probably doing about 40 miles an hour. He hit the truck.
Where are we?
Okay, we are.
And does it look like someone's in that red pickup truck?
Yeah, there's definitely someone in the red pickup. He's back
And you know, when I read the description, she called the police about the bank robbery of that pickup truck. 2 flat tire, lost the rubber on the front left, right is flat. They're gonna try and box him in. Oh my goodness, he's losing control. He's losing control. Riding on rubber.
And he's been here one time before during this chase.
He's been here one time before during the chase. In fact,
many times he's cut the field here.
Before he had an advantage, he no longer
one of that several times.
Now he used to cruise through the field.
Oh my goodness!
Losing control.
He is losing control.
Considering the fact that he's riding.
What are we gonna do with this driver?
He's coming in oncoming traffic, southbound.
He's coming onto oncoming traffic.
Road near Fairmont Parkway.
And a Fairmont Parkway, and now. Oh my goodness!
Okay, he's going to come out of this truck here. Officers.
He's gonna come out of this truck.
To get him out. They're going to be very careful here because
They're gonna be very careful. You know he's armed. He's run into the bio.
Staying in the truck so far.
Staying in the truck so far. Now he crashed into the water. He just submerged into the water. The guns are drawn.
No one was hurt. I mean, no
one's hurt at least.
No innocent bystanders, shall we say.
No innocent.
Seem to have been seriously hurt, and that's certainly
no innocent bystanders.
2 hours now watching this chase go on.
Yeah, that's true.
They have been watching this chase for 2 hours and 40 minutes.
The nature of this chase. And, I believe he's still in the vehicle. We're just waiting to see officers come into the scene.
We're just waiting to see officers coming into the scene.
And you can see officers, guns drawn, being very cautious. They believe he still could be armed.
They believe that he could still be armed.
Officers behind the vehicle there with guns drawn.
Guns drawn, supposed to be sitting in a K-9 unit as well.
Guns drawn.
Let's see if I can zoom in here.
We can still see him in there.
And he is definitely still in the truck.
You can see his hand on
Still in the truck.
Again, a white male in his
White male in his 50s.
And a robbery of a cleaners in Pasadena.
Robbery of a cleaners in Pasadena in the 5800 block of Red Bluff.
Not sure if he is still armed. We did have some reports.
Not sure if he is still armed. They just threw it out. He possibly threw out a pistol in southeast
that area.
Houston.
The actual pursuit began about 2:45. So
It began at about 2:45. Coming up an hour 45, and it ended about an hour 45 minutes ago. And it ended about 45 minutes ago. And we went on for an hour 45 minutes now. And I seen the driver.
What was the toll road where they put out the strip that obviously impaired his tires that led to him losing control and thus stuck in the...
That was the toll plaza east of 45, north of right before you get to the Fairmont Parkway exit, which is where he ended up exiting. We are near Fairmont Parkway and the South Beltway. They have closed off the Beltway. They may close off Fairmont Parkway. He's still in the vehicle. Several officers being very cautious. They've stayed a pretty good distance from the vehicle, probably 50 to 100 yards.
50 to 100 yards.
He has fired shots, even if they believe he threw a gun out.
He just
we don't know if he
fired
had more
shots.
than one, so you don't want to approach that vehicle.
We don't want to approach that vehicle.
Your officers going down.
Okay, and you can see at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, 2 officers there.
And they're kind of crouching behind the barrier wall there as they get closer and closer to this truck.
As they get closer to closer to the truck.
This is at Fairmont Parkway and the Beltway in Pasadena, almost where this chase started in the first place.
Okay, I believe we are we're north of Fairmont Parkway at the Beltway. We're still right along the south southeast corner of the Beltway near Fairmont Parkway.
Southeast corner of the Beltway.
Now backing up.
Okay, and they're asking us to get a little altitude here and back off a bit so they can try to talk to the suspect.
They're asking us to get a little altitude.
The hum of our helicopter.
Over the aircraft, correct. This obviously is going to turn into a standoff.
Going to turn into the standoff.
Even when we are farther away in the sky, and that's what we just did there.
They are farther away in the sky.
We've never been able to say whether there's
They've never been able to say whether they. Yeah, white male in this video.
Yeah, that's correct.
White male in his 50s, 50-year-old white male is one male in that truck.
Or not, or possibly dropping something
I'm
out
just
the
trying to
window.
turn it down, Mom.
They do not know whether or not he's
I'm just
still
trying
on.
to
They believe
speak.
that he did toss a
Okay,
pistol
Mom.
through the course of the chase earlier. But obviously they have to take every precaution.
Okay, they're gonna have to take every precaution. I'm gonna let you listen there for a couple of hours.
I'm gonna widen out just a little bit to give folks at home a perspective on what we're looking at here. They've got the Beltway in both directions shut down. And all of those units.
You can see all those officers on the upper right-hand corner of your screen.
Yes, they
waiting.
they're using these barricades as protection here. They're probably 50 to 75 yards, excuse me, away from the truck. Now, whether or not they're able to talk to him, we don't know whether or not they can hear him or not. But they're going to try to start communicating with him.
And it did appear that he made some sort of signal, or he put his hand out the window for a quick second.
Just for a second. Made some kind of gesture to him. We don't know at this point whether or not they're actually able to hear him or not. He has not rolled his window down, just to point out. So obviously he's not making an attempt on his part to talk to him.
I was going to say, so many of these pursuits have become a source of controversy for the Houston Police Department, in part because of how they ended and how long they've gone on and to what extent motorists and residents have been put in danger. This one, as we mentioned earlier, having perhaps the best kind of outcome you could hope for, in the sense that there was no crash with another vehicle.
Absolutely. He just sideswiped a few vehicles throughout, but it didn't seem like anybody had been seriously injured, and that's really surprising considering this thing went on for so long and wound through so many streets, not just the highways, but also those neighborhood streets.
Yeah, the really surprising thing is that we did not see a major accident here. As you mentioned, he did hit a few vehicles.
You hate to overuse the word miraculous, but at times I thought that's what it was when I felt like he was just squeaking through the narrowest of passageways. We're showing a double box right now. We're showing viewers how this all ended as the truck went into the water there underneath the Beltway. I'm sorry, Dave, but we had that shot up. I wanted to just explain what people were seeing. So on the top right-hand side of the screen, that is how this ended, and the bottom left-hand side of the screen is what's going on right now.
Because police were able to throw down some spike strips at a toll plaza eastbound on the Beltway. He hit those. His two front tires went flat. Took a few seconds.
Yeah, at first we didn't think they worked.
Absolutely, and then he started wobbling, and the tires went flat. Then he chose to go off the roadway and into this bayou or creek. Not sure what body of water that is.
I'm sorry, Dave. Could you go back to the point you were making before I had to narrate what viewers were seeing on the screen?
No, that's okay. We were, forget what we were talking about now, as far as the location goes, near Fairmont Parkway and Vista. The point I was going to make is that for folks that live out in this area, they are shutting down both directions of the Beltway at Fairmont Parkway.
And you do see that one officer, it looks like he was trying to get closer and now is backing up, but almost very secretly trying to approach the truck.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the officer on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen is doing, obviously positioning himself to, if he needs to, take the suspect out if this turns into a situation where the suspect is, in fact, armed still. But there are several units off the top of your screen. I'll widen out and show you again.
Must be a couple dozen units there.
Yeah, and just think all of these officers at some point were involved in this chase. This is how many people he had behind him trying to catch him.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
And as we said, it's amazing that nobody got seriously hurt in this as he was driving through all of that traffic.
It is. Gina, you had mentioned the word miraculous. You've used it a few times, and we often use that word in chases. But, when a chase lasts for, an hour and 40 minutes,
Right.
Cutting through several neighborhoods, school zones, apartment complexes, several cars scraped or sideswiped, one police unit hit, a pedestrian almost hit. It's thankful and just unbelievable no one was injured, and that it has at least calmed down and come to some kind of end at this point.
And they've decided that they'll try and open up some line of communication with this person to see if somehow maybe they can coax him out. But they are definitely not going to go anywhere near this vehicle right now because of that suspect already firing on police officers. So that's going to be the tough part. And as you're watching right now, they're setting up some type of their communication base right here on the hood of some of the police cars on the other side of the bridge. So we're going to keep watching that. Actually, we're going to try and get on the other side and get a little better vantage point. We'll come back to you, Bill.
Okay, Robert. The police officers, the closest ones, are only about 25 feet away from this truck. They have a direct view inside the truck. He's had the driver's side window down throughout the entire chase. So presumably the officers can see this individual, although we can't. But they can tell whether he's still seated, whether he's laying down on the seat, whether he's gone to the back seat, whether he's caused himself any harm. They would know all these things because they can see right into his vehicle. This is the end of a police chase that lasted some 2 hours, went through several different police jurisdictions, involved at least 5 police jurisdictions at one point. The officers who were in pursuit of him lost handoff, but nobody really knows when this thing is going to end. A lot of activity down here. They are letting traffic trickle through on the beltway here, but there are dozens and dozens of officers who are kind of just securing the area right now. Obviously, they don't know what this guy's intentions are. They don't know what he has with him in terms of weaponry or anything like that. We did see a pistol. We heard that a pistol was thrown out of the window a little bit earlier. But, as you've been mentioning, this guy could have more weapons with him. And so at this time, it looks like they're secure to, they're deciding to let this guy kind of wait himself out. And they've got the area secure. This guy's not going anywhere. It's just turning into a waiting game right now.
It's like you're walking. Are you walking towards the scene, or are they making you go farther back?
I am across the street. I'm across the beltway on the other side of where the accident took place.
And is that as close as they're letting you go?
Well, this scene is unfolding so quickly. People... They're trying to keep traffic away in all directions. They're stopping the traffic as much as they can, but we were able to kind of slip through a strip center and get through the back ramp, and we were able to get back on the feeder. So, basically we are now on the eastbound side of the Beltway, and they're keeping us at length here. We can't even really get close to the center lane. I think the press is just basically respecting what these officers need to do in terms of space. But I can see over there's a lot of people standing around and just waiting.
Yeah, we can see that they have the beltway closed off in both directions. I know that prohibits you from getting much closer. Mark, can you stand by for a moment while we check in with Dave?
Sure.
Dave Garrett?
Yes, Gina, go ahead.
Okay. Anything that has changed from your vantage point from above?
One thing that has changed, they have called off the HPD helicopter. They've been given the all clear to go ahead and go home. So the helicopter is no longer overhead. Obviously, they're not in a position where they need them at this point. We ourselves are going to go for fuel here soon, around 5 o'clock, and come back. Our second helicopter, Sky I-2, is right overhead as well. But not much has changed from our position. Still watching the officers gathered just on this side of the truck, on this side of the embankment, and
the one on his belly in the grass, is he moving closer or staying put?
It looks like he's gotten a little bit closer to the road. He's for the most part staying put, buried in this brush here. And again, they still think that the suspect may still be armed.
Which also could be part of why they're keeping Mark Garai back at a safe distance.
Yeah, that and clearing out the beltway here.
And you have dozens of officers there, with many of them with their guns drawn, obviously closing off the beltway. Not sure how this is all going to end. We want to take you back earlier in this police chase when the suspect, a white male in his 50s, drove through a golf course in Pearland, the Country Place Golf Club. He was driving over the fairway, almost to the sand trap, just going on to the golf cart path right now. Never seen that before, a suspect trying to elude police on a golf course. But this is where he had the advantage. We keep on talking about this because he's in that pickup truck and he's able to drive over these fields rather easily while the police officers haven't been able to follow him very closely. In this case, they were able to follow him just on Country Place Road right next to him, but he stayed on the grassy area through this golf course as then he hit a pebble or a gravel road, I should say, and then got back out into open road.
Hearing out, these are SWAT officers with the Pasadena Police Department. They're getting your communication gear together, get his bulletproof vest on before he goes over and joins the rest of his team members. We also have SWAT officers here from the Houston Police Department and other tactical officers from the Harris County Sheriff's Department. As you've been seeing from up top, from News Chopper 2, you do have officers that are seeing into that truck. They're watching every move that this man is making because one of the most puzzling things is he so desperately for 2 hours, threw caution to the wind, sideswiped several cars, shot at police officers, everything he could to get away, and once he landed in this ditch, now he has his move. So the police are going to be very cautious about how they approach this vehicle, but the officers that are surrounding it right now are there to make sure that he doesn't make any move, any type of aggressive move. Once they get all the teams in place, then they'll start trying to talk to this man for at least try and establish some kind of line of communication with him to determine, if he's going to eventually give up or if he's going to continue to fight like he has throughout this entire chase. More of the officers that are coming in right now are going to start breaking up into smaller tactical units, and they'll be taking up different positions, backing up those that are already on the ground right now. Now, they've left this one side of the beltway, they've left it open so at least the cars can get through the area, but the other side is going to remain blocked off because this is where the officers are going to have to set up. This is going to be, for lack of a better term, their base of operation right now. We've also got a canine unit over here that's just come on scene as well. They were trying to figure out a way to use the canine units when that man went into the ditch, but have decided to back off of that at this point. Bill?
Yeah, Robert, one of the things, Robert, that as you know, the SWAT teams try to look for is some sort of negotiating leverage. And you may have heard it mentioned a while ago, he has tinted windows in this truck, so he's rolled them up, and he's inside the cab of this truck with probably 125, 130 degrees of heat inside there, and that works to the SWAT team's advantage, does it not?
Well, yes, exactly. You would think that would eventually start playing a part in wearing on this man, but the desperation that he's shown, the number of cars that he sideswiped, shooting at the different officers, he's not going to give up anytime soon. He's shown that, and the fact that when he dove into that ditch, he's made no attempt to even try and get out. So it's going to be quite a while before they're able to resolve the situation. Police are able to resolve this situation, and even as desperate as this man is, no telling how long he can hold out.
Robert,
they've cut off the roads there. Can you tell us
which directions are cut off right now, and which direction is still flowing down the Beltway?
Well, both directions of the Beltway here. We're probably about a mile from the Spencer Highway Pine Street exit, and both directions of the Beltway have now been shut down. They wanted to alleviate some of the backup, but now they've shut it down again because until this is over, this is going to be the main base of operations for the SWAT officers and all the different agencies out here trying to resolve this situation.
Have you seen a SWAT command truck come there to take control of the situation yet? That'll be the next step, though.
Not yet. Exactly. Right now, they're keeping the perimeter formed to keep an eye on this gentleman to see exactly what he's going to do and make sure they can watch his every move.
Okay, thank you very much. Robert Arnold standing by live there on the scene of the Beltway in Pasadena as this drama unfolds. The man who is inside that truck, as you may have heard it say already, has fired at a police officer. He has run into a police officer. But there is a briefing in progress. We're going to listen on the telephone.
This event, the suspect was reported to have fired one shot at the police car, and this suspect was known to have robbed a number of established. Takeout going on? No, it was not a takeout. It was just a matter of another robbery having been reported, and a detective heard information over the police radio.
What is happening right now?
What is happening right now is that the police are still negotiating with the suspect, attempting to get him to surrender. He's sitting in his vehicle and has a gun in hand, and periodically in the course of this event pointed the gun at his head and his mouth. And as a matter of fact, right now the officer has just asked the suspect to put the gun down.
How is he communicating with you, verbally, or is there a cell phone? How is he communicating?
Well, I heard the officer ask the suspect to roll the window down, so it sounds like that the officer is communicating with a bullhorn, and the suspect is presumably just
Not doing anything.
What kind of firepower do you have around him? I see there's a lot of guys with high-powered rifles, it appears.
Well, these are members of the sniper team that's associated with our SWAT unit, and they are trained on the suspect in the event that things go awry.
How many people do you have up there on him?
I don't know the exact number. I mean, you can see what I can see, so whatever that number is.
Yeah, at this point, the entire freeway is blocked off.
Well, I'm sorry. I mean, this will go on as long as we have to. I mean, we want the suspect to surrender without any injuries to the police, to the suspect, or anybody else.
And Captain, it looks as though the entire freeway is blocked off at this point. Is that right?
Well, it's been blocked off periodically. The feature is certainly blocked off completely, but the main freeway is being opened from time to time by other officers who are allowing a trickle of traffic to go through as much as possible.
I'm wondering how uncomfortable it's going to get for him over there. Is his truck on? Is the air conditioning on? Or is he sitting there in the heat?
He's probably sitting there in the heat, considering his vehicle is submerged, probably up to the top of the grill.
Thank you, Captain Corbett. Appreciate it very much. That is Captain Bud Corbett of the Pasadena Police Department, who is obviously keeping up with the scene over there. The man, obviously despondent, wanted, if we were to read the information correctly, in connection with a number of robberies at these establishments, such as the one that Cynthia Arenas visited just a moment ago. And again, the man
I tried charging my phone and it's not letting me do anything.
The bayou over there, his truck partially submerged. He apparently is threatening to suicide and that is
nothing, Mom. I'm trying to charge my phone.
Called
It's not
bullhorn. People saying they scribbled down a few quotes words to the effect of,
it's not.
"Come on, man,
it's not
help me out.
working, Mom.
Take the gun out of your mouth and start a conversation." Clearly, they're trying to talk this man into surrendering at this point, but you can see there the snipers, members of the sniper team, obviously very much on guard just in case the man points his gun in another direction. We will keep you posted from here as we get more information, but that is everything that we have to report from the ground here. Perhaps you can see something more from the air in that direction, Lennon and Lisa.
All right, Doug, thank you. I just had one other question. You were asking the captain whether there was a stakeout, and he said no, but it sounds like they were just alerted because there was another robbery, not necessarily because it was this individual, but because there have been several robberies, correct?
Yeah, that's the impression that I got, and you heard everything I heard, but I am assuming that it was simply a matter of a police officer on patrol in a certain area. Obviously, one of the advantages of having a good police officer is that he knows about the crimes that have been committed in his area. It sounds as though there were a number of robberies in similar establishments in that vicinity, and he heard about this one, and that's how the chase began.
And Doug, if that were the case, and this gentleman does turn out to be a suspect in a number of robberies, that would be a motive for him to run off as he has.
You think so? One other question that is very much on my mind at this point as to whether this man has a criminal record. Obviously, if he has a couple of other convictions behind him, he may have a motive for not surrendering at this point because after a number of convictions, he could be sentenced to a very lengthy or life prison term. So that could be something else.
It didn't work, Mom. I tried charging it.
Right now, this man is apparently a suspect in a number of robberies of establishments in that area, and a police officer just happened to be alert enough to make the connection and headed over in that direction, and that's how all of this started in the middle of this afternoon.
Yeah, Doug, and the other thing is, I mean, this guy may, if he's had prior convictions, he may have done some time, and a lot of times guys don't want to go back. The other thing is, do we have any sense of what kind of shape, not mentally, obviously the guy's distraught, but is physically, because he drove around for a long time and hit cars and went through ravines, and do you have any sense of that?
That's exactly the question that someone posed a few moments ago. Is it hot inside that truck? Is the engine running? Is the air conditioner running? We don't have any idea about his physical condition. He's obviously sitting inside that vehicle. One question would be whether he's been physically injured at this point. We were able to go by the scene of the accident where someone, where this man actually struck another vehicle, struck a red pickup truck, a Dodge pickup truck, and we talked to the woman who was driving that car. She didn't see it coming. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Can you tell me what happened here?
I was driving, and whoever they were chasing hit me from the side.
They're twerking out, Mom.
You just minded your own business. This guy blows through the intersection here, huh?
Pretty much.
What were you thinking when that happened?
It scared me because I really didn't know what was going on until I saw all the cop cars and got out of my truck, and then I knew they were chasing somebody.
I'm trying to charge it, Mom. I'm trying to listen to that
I don't know,
report,
maybe
Mom. Okay?
40, 50 miles an hour. I don't know.
I don't need to turn it off, Mom.
So it's not really hard for that woman to tell. She had her 5-year-old son with her at the time, and her 5-year-old son apparently was fine. Everybody seemed fine. There was an ambulance that left the scene, but that ambulance apparently came simply to check out, make sure that nobody was hurt. Fortunately, nobody was hurt there at that location. Obviously, one of the concerns of the police officers in this situation is to make sure that no one is hurt, to sort of limit the damage, so to speak, and that's what they're trying to do at this very point with that gunman inside the ditch at the scene, the ditch that he rolled into, or however you'd like to describe it, on his rims going into that body of water. They're trying to talk him into giving up right now, and it's a negotiation, and that is what we have underway right now. Police officers with bullhorns trying to talk that man, that lone man with a gun, into surrendering.
All right, Doug, just saw you were talking with Pasadena Captain Bud Corbett with the Pasadena Police Department, and I would assume that Pasadena Police would still be the lead agency in this because it started in their jurisdiction and the whole thing started with a chase with them. But we've seen several different law enforcement agencies down there on the ground. Can you tell me a little bit about the different agencies you see or you saw while you were following along?
I can tell you that we saw a number of agencies. I believe we saw a DPS trooper, we saw a constable vehicle, obviously a number of Pasadena police vehicles. Here at the scene, we are seeing all Pasadena police vehicles, one county constable's vehicle, Harris County constable vehicle leaving the scene. It looks like at this point this is, from our perspective at least, entirely a Pasadena police operation. Obviously, their sniper team is on the scene, and their negotiators
Don't worry about it, guys. I'm back.
This looks like it is entirely, right now, a Pasadena police situation. Far cry from what we saw earlier.
So we heard on the phone with the Harris County Sheriff's officer. I had to charge my phone. So underneath this
looks like the entire freeway.
Anyway, I'm going to do
blocked off here near Fairmont Parkway. So obviously it looks like it's going to be. It could well be a very long evening here as they try to talk this man into surrendering.
Could use the telephone. He was talking to somebody on the phone, is what I understand, and she had turned her back and went in the back area, I presume. And when he came back, he was taking the money out of the register. Did he say he was a customer? No, he was asking about pricing. Asking about pricing, then he takes off from here, and of course, you know what happens after that. Also, just got off the phone with the Pasadena Police Department, which says that there are a number of robberies being investigated. It is unclear if any other cleaners have been hit. The owner did tell me this afternoon that others had not been robbed. We're still trying to clear up, I should say, some conflicting information. I'm checking with the Pasadena Police Department, and as soon as I have more information, I'll be bringing that to you here in just a few moments. Lisa and Lynn, back to you.
All right, Vicente, thanks. So this was the one Clean Oaks Cleaners that we know that was on Red Bluff that was hit by this suspect, and getting a better picture of a possible motive for why this suspect ran. We learned earlier during a live news conference with Pasadena Police Captain Bud Corbett that there have been some robberies in that area. There was a detective driving around and heard about this particular robbery in progress and put two and two together thinking, wow, this sounds similar, headed over that way. We know that the suspect showed a gun to the dry cleaner attendant, the woman who was there, who was 82 years old, and some kind of shots exchanged, and then the chase began. And again, you are seeing highlights, should we say, there of the chase, there on the right side of your screen.
Captain Corbett, again, could you tell us what exactly is happening with the suspect, how they're trying to communicate with him, how he is communicating back with them?
Okay, you want to start over?
You would, please. Yeah.
Okay, sure. The officer is communicating with the suspect verbally by use of a bullhorn, but the suspect is not responding verbally. What he has done, though, is roll the window up and down and acknowledge or make a sign with his hand that he can hear what the officer is saying. And the officer's primary focus at the moment is to try to get the suspect to take the gun out of his mouth.
Very good. Thank you very much, Captain Bud Corbett, with the Pasadena Police Department, informing us of exactly how they're communicating with this man. Actually, that may sound discouraging in some respects, but it is an encouraging sign, because the first thing a negotiator tries to do in this situation is to establish some sort of communication, some sort of rapport. I've talked with SWAT negotiators over the years who said if you can just get a guy to pick up the phone and say hello, that's a very big step. And in effect, they've done that here. They've got this guy responding to them. He's rolling down the window, using hand gestures, or we're told, whatever, to try to communicate. There's some sort of communication going on. That's an encouraging sign for the police officers who are trying to talk to this man who has a gun, who is down there inside his car that is inside the bayou. So they apparently have established some sort of communication. The next step, of course, trying to get him to talk to them and to get him to realize that he just might want to walk away from there and surrender. Captain Corbett, you're saying what? He's doing what at this point?
I'll answer that just a second.
What is he doing at this point? He has been communicating in other ways besides rolling the window down and so on.
The only way he has communicated with the police officer is by virtue of rolling his window down and acknowledging with his hand that he can hear what the officer is saying.
Captain,
But he's been writing something, is that right?
Members to come and help you with these negotiations.
I don't know if that's been done or not. That's usually part of the course of events in a situation like this.
Captain, you said something about a note. What were you saying about a note?
The witnesses, that is the negotiators and the other officers in the immediate area, observed what they appeared to think was the officer writing a note. I'm sorry. The officer observed him engaged in what appeared to be writing a note, but the officer does not know the content of the note or if there actually was one. But it just appeared to be that, and that's the information on that.
That would indicate he's put the gun down, is that right?
That's the primary focus of the contact right now, is to get the suspect to put the gun down. Because most of the time while he's talking to the officer, he's had the gun in his mouth.
If he's writing a note, that would indicate he put the gun down. Is that what you're hearing?
I don't know that he put the gun down. He may have moved the gun away from his mouth. But as far as I know, he had removed the gun from his hand.
Do we know about any injuries?
This man over here had a question. I need to answer. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Any injuries along the way to this point?
I was told that one of the officers involved in pursuit was involved in a major accident, a major indicating that someone was hurt. I don't know if it was the officer or somebody else, and I don't know about the condition of it.
Does the driver appear to be hurt in any way, given that he crashed his truck?
There wasn't any comment made about any indication that he was injured. It's a possibility he was, but it could not have been seriously considering what the officers have seen at this time.
Very good. Thank you, Captain Corbett. Again, Captain Bud Corbett of the Pasadena Police Department, who's been listening in on the negotiations over there, but he's about as far away from it as we are. He gets a bit closer at times and can hear a thing or two that we can't hear from our vantage point. One of the things that he passed on to us a moment ago, just before you came to us live, was that this guy apparently has been writing a note. They don't know what is inside the note. They don't know what he's doing.
The inside the driver
indicate that perhaps he's
submerged into the water,
which would be good news.
Then crashed
it is indeed very good news. The man is somehow communicating with the police officers, but obviously they're very concerned about what he might be writing down as they.
We just heard it on the phone.
The sniper team,
Harris County Sheriff,
earlier
on when I was asleep.
Still trying to find out.
They're still trying to find out. They're still trying to find out.
Between the police
and they were having a news conference.
There has been some communication, but it's been very limited on the part of the suspect. At this point, all the suspect has done is roll his window down and acknowledge with his hand that he can hear what the officer's saying. The officer's focal point at the moment is to try to get the suspect to put his gun down, which has been in his mouth most of the time.
When you said that's the only communication, is he can hear them? We were hearing something about writing some kind of note.
He did appear to be writing a note of some kind, but they don't. That is, the officers don't know what the content was.
Okay, so he hasn't thrown it out of the window trying to communicate that way?
He has not.
Okay. Have you identified this man?
No. In fact, I checked about 10 minutes ago, and at this point, they still do not know his identity.
Okay. How many? We understand how the officer who was injured in that accident during his chase.
I really don't know for sure. I understand that an officer was involved in a major accident, but quite frankly, I don't know.
Crossing to the waterway about 10 minutes.
Whether the officer was injured
about
in the course
10 minutes ago,
We understand this man also even wanted for other robberies other than the one that started all this today. Do you know how many he wanted?
10 minutes ago or so.
He's
10
a
minutes
suspect
later.
in
10
about
minutes
4
later,
robberies since the last week
it
of June.
started
What
as
type
a
of robberies?
robbery.
Have they all been like cleaning
Started
stores
about 10
or
minutes,
convenience
about
stores
10
or?
minutes
No,
ago.
there hasn't really been a
About 20
specific
minutes
pattern
later, the
necessarily,
driver
but
makes its way,
it's
turning
primarily
left
a
onto,
resemblance from one
making a
case to another on
U-turn,
the description
northbound
and
288.
partial license numbers
Then,
of the vehicle.
So that really, I mean, other than the
were
robbery at the
flat
cleaner, did somebody
onto the
recognize him
beltway.
that really sparked this off as
And
well?
It wasn't a matter of necessarily recognizing as being involved in another robbery. The description, offered some similar aspects, and the police responded to that.
Okay. And where exactly? I mean, we know where the cleaner started. Where did the officers first pick up the pursuit, and when did he first take off?
I don't know exactly where it started. I think that it was on Pasadena Boulevard in Deer Park. But the exact location on that street, I don't know.
And he hasn't said anything at all to the officers other than keeping the gun in his mouth or the hands so that he could hear them.
As of about 10 minutes ago, he had not.
About 10 minutes ago.
I mean, how long? I mean, at what point have you got a loudspeaker down there, a microphone, anything like that, or is it just verbal still?
Northbound 45.
Well, it's verbal, but the officers have been communicating with and without the bullhorn.
He's communicating with or without.
Thank you again. That was Pasadena Police Captain Bud Corbett. As we have been telling you before, there hasn't been a lot of talk back and forth between the suspect excuse me, it's dusty out here, and the SWAT negotiator. Again, that note that we mentioned probably about 30 minutes ago, he suspect never threw it out of the window, so they don't know what that was about. Right now, as we've been telling you, he's
mentioned about 20 minutes ago
by keeping that gun in his mouth or under his chin. Bill, Wendy?
Gun, and then all day today, the driver has been driving erratically, flat.
Captain Corbett, who had held the briefing that we listened in on earlier, telling us that
And the
giving us
tire
new
was
information
flat earlier on
that this
after
individual is a suspect
they
in at
just
least
deployed
4 robberies
the
since the
spike
latter part of
strips.
June.
And then because the robberies, even though they're different,
were similar
in
enough
some
to make them
aspects,
think
were
that
similar,
this guy who pulled
similar,
off this robbery this afternoon in Pasadena also pulled
enough.
off 4 others
Pasadena
in a very
also
brief
pulled
period
off
of time,
4
just
others
about the last 30 days or so.
for the last 30,
it certainly seems that way because of the way that he's conducted himself this afternoon using stolen license plates that he could be readily identified by anybody who happened to see him driving away.
Been going on earlier on for the last 10 minutes.
By the way he conducted the police chase, he's carefully
going on
thought
for the
out
10 minutes or
what
for
he
the
would
last
do in
10
given
minutes or so.
up to and including the one he finds himself in
Going
now.
on at least the last 10 minutes
but has
for
put
the last
himself in,
10 minutes
which is a
10
deadly
minutes or
standoff
so.
with police here, potentially deadly
Now, 10
standoff with
minutes
police,
later, been going
where
on
he
for the
would
last
either shoot
10
himself
minutes
or
or
they
so.
him. But
Either shoot him
his
or
most
get out of the car.
dangerous move has
Most
been
dangerous.
here. Brandishing that gun even at himself because we can see the door, Wendy, of his truck is open now.
One of the truck is
Or it
open
appears
now.
to be, because as long as he has a gun in his hand, he is a direct threat to police officers, and they will not, believe me, hesitate to shoot him if that gun moves in their direction.
That is one new thing that we can notice
right
here.
there at the
Absolutely, from this live picture here, and even though the SWAT protocol has us as our helicopter positioned further away, the door is open. The door of the driver's side of that pickup truck is open.
And there's a police officer right there at the truck, too, right in the back, probably close enough where he can talk, but where he's behind, you can see him right behind the bed of the pickup. And now I see, you can almost
see a whole grouping of them, of the police officers that came down the embankment, and it looks like they even have like a shield holding. You see that shield there?
Yeah.
That's
it looks like they've moved in on the truck here, and they may have negotiated. See the officer moving back up now, the embankment. But then to the right, just on the other side of a little grassy knoll, just beyond which you can see the open door of the pickup, I saw 2 or 3 officers moving towards the truck there. So apparently,
it seems that their efforts then to communicate with him are moving forward.
I can almost guarantee you he's put that gun down, because if he hadn't, you wouldn't see the officers that close to the truck.
Yeah, there's no way they would be that comfortable with
Look, now everybody's scattering, walking away. I think they've got this guy in custody. Yep.
Yep, they got this guy in custody.
Because everybody's walking away.
Everybody's walking away.
We see some officers moving to the other side. We see some officers moving to the other side.
Language. This has now come to a successful conclusion. They
This
have the man
has
in
now come
custody.
to a successful
because
conclusion,
the men are walking away here as we begin here at the top of the hour. This is KPRC local to 6 o'clock, KPRC in Houston, as we identify ourselves.
I'm trying to charge my charger. I was getting a little bit
frustrated. Here as
my mom
this
said that's
drama comes to an end. An aggravated robbery suspect now in the custody of a police officer. He has given himself up.
Later on tonight.
Even though we did not see the surrender because we were ordered to move our helicopter back, we can tell by the way that the police are conducting themselves here on the scene that the man is now in custody.
Gentleman wearing a dark short sleeve blue shirt and dark pants. We saw him walking up out of the ditch where his truck was. You see the back of his head there as he talks with Pasadena Police. That's the Pasadena Police vehicle there. And then they're walking him there to put him into a squad car, and finally, 3 hours after this began, finally bring this to a conclusion.
And we were wondering earlier if they had an idea of who the gentleman was. And because they probably got a beat on it, the officers are congratulating each other for a job well done, and they deserve it. This ended with, considering how long this has lasted, it ended with no serious injuries that we are aware of, and the suspect who fired a shot, who robbed the store, who showed a gun to a store owner, to a dry cleaner owner in Pasadena shortly after 3 o'clock. He's now in custody, and police are talking to him. So the communications that were going on between the negotiators.
To that effect, and he rolled his window down from time to time. And again, the focal point, probably for the past hour or more, has been to try to get the gun down, and he finally did.
Kind of recount again exactly what finally led us to surrendering.
I don't know exactly what took place just a moment before, because I was here with you. When I understand, he at one point did get out of the vehicle. He walked up the embankment toward the SWAT officer with his hands up. He made a comment to the effect of shoot me. Of course, the officers chose not to do that, and they took him in custody without further inquiry.
And I'll see you guys in the next video later on tonight, and I will leave you tonight with this video reaction.
And handcuffed him in the normal way.
Captain, at this point, do we have any idea what was behind this guy's run from the law?
Well, I understand that the plates on the vehicle were stolen, and he is a suspect possibly involved in multiple robberies in Pasadena and perhaps other surrounding areas.
Obviously, when stuff like this comes up, you talk about the pursuit policy. Why wasn't this guy taken out any earlier?
Well, I don't know exactly, what was done in every step of the way, but it was just a matter of, having to deal with the environment and constantly evaluating the facts and the risks in the course of the chase. And when the opportunity presented itself, we did get cooperation from Precinct 8, who was able to put down the spike, which assisted in stopping the vehicle. And that incident occurred at the nearest toll booth and brought the thing to an end where we are now.
Jeff, if you can hear us, if you could ask the officer about the identity of the man, if he yet knows who this is.
Certainly, I'll get a chance.
Halfway up the embankment toward the SWAT officer, made that statement, and then basically surrendered.
Jeff, do we know who this man is at this point?
We may know at this point, but I didn't know as of 15 minutes ago.
He didn't fight at all.
He did not.
All right, that is the very latest from the scene out here on the East Belt. I'm told that we're probably going to have to move rather quickly because the Beltway is going to be opened up now that the scene is clear. As you can see, obviously, authorities are starting to break down now. This is one of the SWAT team officers who had the suspect in his sights this entire time, obviously ending exactly the way that the Pasadena police wanted this to end. Why don't we move down to the East Plaza, and we'll give you all a sound bite from that deputy. All right, you're with Precinct 8, is that correct? You're about to open up the Beltway, is that right?
We're fixing to open up the tollway. We've had traffic blocked for quite a while, and we want to get the roadway open. We'll meet you down at the East Plaza.
And just real quickly, it was one of your constables that put out the spikes, is that right?
That is correct.
How was he able to do that? Can you kind of give us a little bit of background?
Let me meet with you down there. We got cars coming up.
Clearly, you're ready to open up the Beltway. I understand. So obviously, they're going to open up the Beltway. Our truck is parked on the Beltway. We're going to need to go ahead and move at least back down to the tollway while authorities go ahead to reopen the Beltway. But at this point, the suspect is in custody. He surrendered on his own power after
The police have been negotiating with him for the better part of an hour or so. Reporting live to FU 13. Eyewitness News.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff. Good work out there. And Dave Garrett just revealed a few minutes ago, though, that they had more information about who the suspect was. And the officer just mentioned that he'd been involved and they suspect 2 prior robberies. Dave, can you tell us more about that?
That's correct, Gina. At least 2 other robberies, both in Alvin, one on July 20th, one on the 19th, one at a Pilgrim's Cleaners, another at a Dollar Tree, both taking place between 1 and 2 p.m. The robbery that he's wanted for off of 225 that sparked the chase this afternoon happened around 2 o'clock as well, I believe somewhere between 2 and 2:45. The chase lasted for about an hour and 40 minutes, as you know, all over southeast Houston through the Pasadena, Webster, Clear Lake area. He was driving completely erratically, hit several vehicles. We have some video, in fact, of the suspect striking a red truck, sideswipe a red truck. Right there is the video, right before he hits that truck. Eventually, as the officers have mentioned, they were able to throw spikes down at a toll plaza just past Highway 3. They were able to flatten the 2 front tires, which crippled the truck and brought it to rest in Little Bayou right here at the East Bell between Vista and Fairmont Parkway. And as Jeff has said, and obviously here, he has given up, and they do have him in custody. That is him in the back seat of this police cruiser. They are at a point now where they're going to start to clear out traffic. I'm going to widen out and give you a better perspective here. There were several units, 10, 15, possibly even 20 units involved in this chase. They have now opened up northbound lanes on the Beltway. They will eventually open up the southbound lanes on the Beltway very soon here. So you start to see traffic flow in both directions on the Beltway. Also, some of the neighboring streets from Vista to Fairmont Parkway, Crenshaw, Genoa, Red Bluff down to Highway 3. The traffic will start to lighten up now as soon as they reposition all these officers and open up all of the roadways. That is the vehicle here. That is the white truck that we have been following all afternoon. Again, the chase lasting about an hour and 40 minutes to come to an end here on the East Belt in Little Bayou. And again, the suspect is now in custody after a standoff this afternoon. For now,
Dave, you had a perfect vantage point when he turned himself in. Can you describe what happened?
To be honest with you, Melanie, they had put us adhering to the SWAT standoff protocol. They had pushed us back a mile, and we were at about 1,800 feet trying to get as much altitude as we could. We were zoomed in as much as we could, and it seemed fairly quick. The standoff lasted quite a while, and then at some point he just decided to go ahead and give himself up. He got out of the truck. We were trying to get video of that, but we did not. We did eventually get video of him as soon as the SWAT team allowed us to get closer. We could see the officers walking him to the back of this unit. But
that's what we're looking at right now, the video of them walking to the back of the unit.
Yeah, that is the video that happened just a few minutes ago of them walking the suspect to the unit. And it happened fairly quickly, so we weren't actually able to get it on video of him giving up. We could just barely see the top of the truck that he was driving, so we could not physically see him get out of the vehicle, but that is the video that we were able to catch when they allowed us to get closer to the scene. And now we are, of course, right on top of the vehicle, back now live. He's in the back seat of this police cruiser. Of course, they're going to question him and take him to an area facility, and just thankfully things have ended peacefully here off of the East Bell between Vista and Fairmont Parkway.
That walk actually was so calm that we didn't quite realize that that's what we were seeing, the suspect giving himself up. It almost looked like officers were just merely walking toward the back of the vehicle. We saw movement at the top of the newscast, and that was, in fact, the suspect surrendering.
That's right, and perhaps the only hint was the fact that there were so many officers surrounding him. Suddenly there was a huge crowd of people around him, and there was some indication that perhaps there had been a major break in that case.
Well, as you have heard, the chase, as many times, put several people in danger. One person actually almost run down by the out-of-control driver. Continuing our team coverage, Eyewitness News reporter Jessica Willie.
I first caught up with the truck police were chasing in the Pasadena area near 225. It was in a residential neighborhood with no patrol units in sight on the ground, but a police helicopter following the truck in the air, twisting and turning. The truck then turned not onto another street, but into a wide open field. The helicopter was close by, and several patrol cars were in the field. The driver passed so close to an officer, it appears the officer fired. But the suspect driver just kept going. He almost lost control of his vehicle, but once back on the road and going fast, he was blowing through intersections, oncoming traffic, then heading towards the Webster area. Less on Bay Area Boulevard, he turned into yet another field, and then into a church parking lot. All of that just in the first 45 minutes. Patrol units were often close, but never close enough to put an end to the chase. had turned yet again into an open field, running parallel to Highway 3, heading south and back to Bay Area Boulevard. The driver cuts through what appears to be an apartment parking lot. As the driver continues, he avoids a head-on collision, but bumps a patrol car and still gets away. Then it was back to the easement of Highway 3, finally getting to the road and turning south on the highway. It wasn't long before the driver made it to the Gulf Freeway, speeding north on the shoulder, blowing by other drivers. Eventually eastbound on the belt, law enforcement tried to stop the driver heading through a toll plaza. Look closely, and just a minute later, you can see the front tires flattened. That didn't keep the driver from stringing this out to the very end, crashing right into another truck, backing up and still desperately trying to get away with officers right behind him. It would only take about another minute for this chase, almost 2 hours long, come to a crashing end.
And just to pick up where Jessica left off, we have highlighted the shot of the suspect there being led to the back of the police vehicle. Again, the shot of the back, from the back of his head. You can't see very well because we had to be kept at a far distance because SWAT teams were in control of this scene there. But you can see him clearly in the center with an officer. Kind of, it looks as though their arms are interwoven there. And he now is in the back of the police vehicle. Apparently, he made a comment about just shoot me.
That's right, and obviously officers didn't want to do that. We want to show you this video once again. He did T-bone at least one red truck here. We did see him sideswipe several vehicles, but this is one he hit head on. This is very near the end when both of his tires are gone, front tires are gone. What we have since learned is that there was a 24-year-old woman and her 7-year-old son inside that truck. In fact, the 7-year-old son was sitting on the side that was directly hit by his truck. We are happy to report that both of them were not seriously injured. We don't know the full extent of their injuries, but we are told they were not seriously injured, thankfully. And as far as we know, there were no other serious injuries in this case. And Jeannie, you know, so often that is not the case when we have chases like this. Well, we are continuing to follow this developing story, and we're going to bring you the very latest later on in our
26 News at 9. News that work for you. It started out as an armed robbery and quickly escalated into a dangerous game of catch me if you can. Police cruisers held their own on the pavement, but proved no match for the driver's four-wheel drive pickup when the action went off-road. Finally, after 90 minutes and 2 counties, splash down. But it wasn't over yet. The chasing game became the waiting game.
Until he surrendered, there was no dialogue between the officer, the negotiator, and the suspect.
Then from jeopardizing the lives of drivers to begging officers to take his life.
The suspect got out of the vehicle that he's been in. He walked about halfway up the embankment towards the SWAT officer, put his hands up, made a comment to the effect of shoot me.
That high-speed chase is just one of 3 big stories we're following.
We've got a lot to cover tonight, including the
After a robbery suspect drove his pickup off Beltway 8 near Fairmont Parkway. That started a standoff that lasted another hour and a half. Christina Garza is covering this story tonight. Christina, this all started at a dry cleaner's. Yes, it did. And actually, that dry cleaners is not that far from where we are. That chase ended, though, right in this ditch behind me, right underneath the southbound lanes of the East Sam Houston Tollway between Fairmont Parkway and Vista. All we know at this hour about the suspect is that he was wanted in a series of armed robberies here in the Pasadena area that took place since late June. It was a fairly peaceful surrender after all, but it doesn't sound like the suspect wanted it that way.
He opened the door of his vehicle, he got out, he walked about halfway up the embankment toward the SWAT officers that were in contact with him. He had his hands in the air, he made a comment to the effect of shoot me, and of course the officers did not do that, there was no call for it.
For nearly 2 hours, SWAT officers kept their guns pointed at the driver of this partially submerged pickup truck as the Pasadena police officer tried to reason with him through a loudspeaker. This after the driver apparently threatened to kill himself on numerous occasions.
And he has periodically in the course of these negotiations been pointing the gun at his head and at least at one point in his mouth.
It all started after the suspect walked into the Queen Oaks dry cleaners here on Red Bluff in Pasadena. Employee Alex Peña wasn't there at the time, but his coworker was.
He came in asking for some dry cleaning prices, at She gave it to him, and then he asked if he can borrow the phone. So he got the phone and ripped the cord off the wall and asked her for the money and stuff.
The armed suspect left in his white pickup truck, but when he noticed police were on his trail, he simply refused to stop. During the hour-and-a-half high-speed chase through southeast Houston, police say the suspect fired his weapon, at one time hitting a patrol car. That officer wasn't hurt, but another one was, after crashing his unit while trying to catch up to the suspect. It wasn't until the driver reached the Beltway near Crenshaw that police were able to blow out his tires. The driver had no choice but to stop, and he did so after driving into this creek between Fairmont Parkway and Vista.
Oh.
And again, that suspect is currently being held at the Pasadena City Jail. We're live in Pasadena. I'm Christina Garza, Fox 26.
Now, live, local news like these.
Caught on tape, a determined and desperate driver leading police on a wild ride through two counties, putting not only officers, but innocent drivers in danger. And then finally, the crashing in that then became the beginning of a terrifying standoff.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dominique Soxa.
And I'm Bill Baeza. For hours, we watched the frightening scene unfold. The chase, crash after crash, even bullets flying. Now tonight, we're learning more about the man at the center of it all. He's now in custody, facing several charges, not only connected to the wild driving you see here, but to the armed robber and the robbery that police say started it all. KPRC Local 2 reporter Robert Arnold is live in Pasadena, Harris County, with what has happened tonight and he's learned. Robert?
Right now, 58-year-old Kenneth Ray Poole is facing a slew of felony charges, everything from shooting at a police officer to armed robbery to reckless endangerment of pretty much anyone who got in his way during that chase. But even before today's chase, Poole is also a suspect in at least 6 other holdups. For 2.5 hours, Kenneth Ray Poole led a line of police cars from at least 5 different agencies on a winding chase from the neighborhoods of Pasadena to the Gulf Freeway, through the woods into a park and onto the Beltway. Poole sideswiped police officers and rammed just about anyone who got in his way. This man was rushed to the hospital, and Joanne Adams was more than a little rattled.
He came into this lane, and I was coming up to turn left, and he just banged me and went off.
Eventually, police forced Poole into the easy tag lane of the Beltway, where Sergeant J.D. McCullough threw out the spikes.
With him going through the lane, we were able to get the spikes out and spike his tires, and he didn't go much farther after his tires were spiked.
Poole finally lost control and careened into a crowded parking lot.
My heart was beating like 90 to nothing.
The chase then ended when Poole did a nosedive into this ditch. SWAT officers quickly geared up as other officers raced into position to keep Poole from escaping. With AR-15 machine guns trained on him, Poole kept officers at bay for at least an hour by threatening suicide. Then he suddenly stepped out of the truck.
He walked about halfway up the embankment toward the SWAT officers, put his hands up, made a comment to the effect of shoot me. Obviously, the officers chose not to do that.
Officers found the gun detectives say Poole used to rob an 80-year-old woman working at the Queen Oaks Dry Cleaners in Pasadena, a robbery that began this entire ordeal.
Yeah, I believe he had a gun. He said that he wanted the money, so we gave her the money and took her purse, and he put that in the truck and took off.
Pasadena police say Poole is also a suspect in at least 4 other robberies. Now, late tonight, we also got a call from the police chief in Alvin, Mike Merkel, who says Poole is also a suspect in at least 2 more robberies in that city. We're live in Pasadena, Harris County. I'm Robert Arnold, KPRC Local 2.
You never got to see the suspect, but he has gray hair, he's in his 50s, and of average height and build. Local 2 checked Poole's criminal background and found that he's got several misdemeanor charges in Columbus, Colorado, including drug possession and unlawfully carrying a weapon.
New on the 90s.